podcast where Texas history meets the shadows. Each week, we uncover the sinister stories, buried legends, and unsolved mysteries that still haunt the Lone Star State. I'm your host, Alfred Kane, and tonight we begin with Blood on the Snow. The year was 1884. This is the story of Molly Smith, the first known victim of what would later be called the Servant Girl Annihilator. Austin, Texas was booming in the 1880s. The state capital was transforming into a modern city. Horse-drawn carriages on Pecan Street, gas lamps flickering through the night, and a servant class made up of mostly black young women working for the city's elite. But something terrible was about to unfold. Something violent, something unexplained. On the cold morning of December 30th, 1884, the peace was shattered. Molly Smith, a 25-year-old African-American servant, was found brutally murdered behind the home of Walter Hall, an insurance salesman at 901 West Pecan Street. Her lover, Walter Spencer, had been badly beaten. When he came to, he alerted the household, but Molly was missing. They found her body near the outhouse, brutally mutilated. She'd been dragged from her bed, attacked with an axe, and stabbed repeatedly. Her nightclothes were soaked in blood, and the snow around her was crimson. The scene was horrific and unlike anything the city had seen. At first, the police suspected a jilted lover. A bartender named William Brooks was questioned, but he had an alibi. No one was arrested, no one was convicted. What stood out was the nature of the attack: savage, methodical, and strangely ritualistic. No robbery, no obvious motive, just brutality in the dark. Over the next year, 7 more victims would be attacked under eerily similar circumstances, most of them African-American servant women. All of them were attacked at night, dragged from their beds, and murdered with an axe or a heavy object. The press began to whisper about a serial killer. One newspaper, the Austin Daily Statesman, called him the man with the dagger eyes. But the name that stuck came from O. Henry, a famous short story writer who lived in Austin at the time. He dubbed him the Servant Girl Annihilator. Was Molly Smith the first victim of America's first known serial killer? Some people say yes. Others believe the killer's motives were personal, driven by rage, control, or something darker. But others whisper of something more chilling, more spectral. Locals claim to see a shadowy figure running across the rooftops. Psychics claim that the killer was possessed. Some in the African-American community spoke of haints, malicious spirits from Southern folklore. Was this the work of a man or a demon? Molly Smith's murder was the first crack in Austin's surface. In the months to come, the streets would run red again. In our next episode, we'll examine the case of Elijah Shelley, murdered just 5 months later in what some would call a message from the killer. Thank you for joining me for this first episode of Haunted Hill Country. If you found tonight's story chilling, subscribe. Leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. You can find maps, photos, and companion case files at my Patreon at the link below. Until next time, stay curious, stay careful, stay out of the shadows.